Welcome back, fam, to part two of You Better Check Yourself, the importance of working on yourself in a relationship. Last week, we were dealing with the subject of how do we as individuals grow together in relationships from the perspective of this triangulation of self reflection, communication, and personal accountability in a relationship. So we're gonna jump back into the conversation with the platform of Dre and Bree, their YouTube channel, Worth the Wait, and we're going to dig a little more deeper into this conversation and thought process and idea of individual accountability and work while you're growing together as partners in relationships, and how do we make that productive. And again, if you, and please ma'am, please sir, if you have not liked or shared information from this platform or click that notifications tab, please subscribe so that you can stay abreast of all information pertaining to this platform. Let's get into it.
Yeah, a coach that I had once told me, he said, I'll never forget it. He said, a man that doesn't know what he doesn't know is a dangerous man. That it's okay not to know something. You don't really do harm that way. If somebody says, hey, Drake, can you fix the engine in my Charger? I'll be like, nope. No harm. Don't know how. No harm, no foul. But if the same person came to me and I'm like, yeah, I know how to do that, just because I wanted the money and I don't know what I'm doing, then I do more damage than help. And I feel like that's the same with self accountability. Is that you have, as Bree said, you have to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, like I need to take a firm look and evaluation of my actions and things like that, and realize that there are some things I have been doing wrong. There are some things I don't really know that much about. Even there are some things about myself that I still need to explore, that I'm still learning about. When you start to have that accountability and you're honest with yourself, then it makes it easy to address those problems. Because I think the first thing in having self accountability and changing those things is first addressing that they exist.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Having the fortitude, having the aptness to be able to admit to yourself, there is something off about me. There is something wrong with me. It's not always the other person. There's something ain't right about you. You have anger management issues. You're not loving. You're not caring. You don't listen to what I'm saying. You don't think about me. You don't put me first. You don't. When does the conversation ever come back to I don't? And I think that's one of the most frustrating things to me in relationships that I have had over the past, or have had in the past, that it was so one sided in the conversation. And my wife, now, she makes fun of me saying that if I was the way that I depicted myself in prior relationships, she wouldn't be with me. I'm like, well, babe, I get what you're saying. However, the way I was in prior relationships, I didn't play games. I don't have time for games. And I was self aware enough to know that Eric had issues. What I didn't have time for was being with people who did not admit they had flaws as well. I don't have time for that. I can work with someone who admits I have faults, I have issues, I'm not always right. Please show grace and mercy towards me as they will show it towards me. But if you just flat out think that you are perfect and that your stuff don't stink and you the best thing since sliced bread, and you thick as grits. I don't have time for that because it's not genuine. It's fake. You are doing yourself a total disservice. You're not willing to grow. You're not willing to have that hard conversation. You're not willing to allow me to help you be better. Again, when we were talking about love in our last episode, it is esteeming other people over yourselves and doing things for them in the way of truth, that I love you enough to tell you the truth about yourself. Well, I'm gonna do it in a loving way, in a manner that you'll be able to receive it. However, I love you enough not to just let stuff ride. And if I don't love you, I don't care what you do. You can go ahead and kick rocks for all I care. But we got to be able to do the hard work on ourselves and admit there is a problem with me. None of us are perfect. If we say that all the time, that nobody's perfect, why do we act like we are? That's what I don't understand. Let's continue.
Because I feel like a lot of people like act like their problems aren't there. Even when Bree and I first started dating, I remember the first thing she told me, she was like, "Oh yeah, my dad wasn't in my life, but that didn't affect me at all." And it's like, I don't know much about much, but how did that not affect you at all? Yeah. And the things that she just didn't.
We don't deal with. We don't. We don't.
It.
We don't deal with our issues. We don't deal with our hurts. We don't acknowledge it. We think out of sight, out of mind. If I just suppress it down enough, it does not exist. Well, we're dead wrong, fam. We're dead wrong. This stuff affects us. We got issues. We got hurts. We got pains. We got triggers. We got this stuff. Call it out. But then when we get into relationships, we want people to just accept us. Well, that's just who I am. Wrong. That's not just who you are. That's just who you choose to be. So we got to do the work.
Then she was able to kind of start unpacking it a little bit more and seeing, how it may have affected her life and the things that, she experienced as an adult. So I think that's the biggest thing with self-evaluation or self-accountability, is just being honest with yourself.
Honesty with yourself.
So
Absolutely.
the last topic, I know this is something that Bree talks about with women a lot, and talks to people just a lot about in general, and that's just building self-esteem and self-love.
With this, right, looking at point 2 that we were just talking about, as far as when you know, like, hey, these are things that I have to work on, this plays a perfect role in it, because if you allow yourself to become the victim, you could end up changing things and doing things that you have no business doing and shouldn't have to do. For example, like, if your self-esteem and self-love is low and you don't really know your value, you don't really know your worth, you will end up changing things that you really morally stand by to fit and match this person because of what they're saying. Or if you get to the point where you really feel that you're the problem, you could start changing things that just shouldn't be changed. And so that, again, fine line of between, like, I know that I need to humble myself to make changes, but I also need to be able to discern between what changes actually need to be made, because it's a relationship. It's not what do I do just to make this person happy, especially in the beginning stages, because they're in that interview phase. But with the building self-love and, like, self-esteem, it really takes being alone, because if you bounce from person to person, you are always you're looking for validation from someone all the time. And if that validation is not coming from God alone or yourself, and it becomes a thing of you need it from other people, then you just will never be able to see your real worth and, like, to be able to be in a relationship and make decisions based on your worth and your value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So I think that I get this question a lot. How do I work on myself? How do I build my confidence? How do I, like, regain my self-love and build my self-esteem? At the end of the day, the answer is time and God. putting all your energy into looking at who you are as a person, figure out the things you like about yourself, the things you don't like about yourself, the things you want to work on to make yourself better, and really allowing yourself to just fall in love with you. And once you're happy with that, once you're in love, and it doesn't matter if you have a man or not, or a girl or not, that's when you're going to truly find the person that will make sense for you. Because it can't be someone that you're going after and pleasing and looking for validation that you're worthy, because that's not a thing.
I want to piggyback a little bit on what she just communicated here about this self love question. How do you validate yourself? And she said two answers that she utilizes that they go together in her task is time and God. And I believe she's absolutely correct in that. It takes time and it takes the strength of God, because this is something we just cannot do within our own power and our own strength. Because if we did, we would have gotten it right a long time ago. And I'll be transparent. That is something that to this day, your boy Eric still struggles with the self love, the self value. I find it very easy to find the quote unquote good and value in other people, but I am so hard on myself to where I cannot find or see the good in myself. For years, I didn't love myself. And to this day, I still even struggle with that whole essence of loving myself, loving Eric. And I think the thing that really holds me back in fully loving myself is there are a lot of things about Eric that I don't like. Do I harp on those things? Do I engage in those things that I don't like about myself? For the most part, no. But it's still there in the back of my mind of knowing what I am capable of doing at any given moment. And those are the things that really stick out to me. Again, I can find all the wonderful pros and good things in other people and show them so much grace, but I am so hard on myself. And that is something that the Lord is brutally working with me on. I know I'm complete in him. I know that he loves me. I know that God, because of his efficient and sufficient work on Calvary's cross, that the work has been finished. It's done. My salvation is secure. But this salvation walk, y'all, it's a hard thing. And to be secure and comfortable with myself, I would say that is the daily push and daily drive for me to continue to do this self reflection and daily reflection of what is not right within me. Standing in that mirror, Lord, show me what is not right. How do I become more like you? How do I resemble your son more, Jesus the Christ? How do I not grieve the Holy Spirit? How do I allow the Holy Spirit to work through me to represent the finished work of Christ, to be worthy of the salvation that he has grafted and given me in efforts to glorify God? That's a hard thing. That's a daily decision. It's a daily reflection. As Romans talks about, being ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that we may do the acceptable and perfect will of God. That is a daily evaluation, guys. And so by me growing in that manner, again, growing individually in my spiritual walk, I am able to show up better in my physical walk, in my physical partnership with my wife and my kids because I'm constantly taking evaluation of myself. And if I know I need grace and mercy, my God knows that I need grace and mercy. How much more grace and mercy am I going to show my wife and my kids, knowing that at certain times I need more grace and mercy than they need it? So, taking that self reflection, it helps us shape the way that we engage in our relationships, people. We got to take this self reflection thing seriously, fam.
I would say also, I want to give everybody this challenge, and then I have a question for Bree too. I want to challenge you that if you're in a committed relationship, you feel like you're in a good relationship, you love the person, they love you. For the issues that you guys have, I would say I challenge you to, instead of looking at what they're doing wrong, look at yourself and think about how what you could do to make the situation better. Because
Self
ultimately, somebody
reflection.
loves you.
Self
Love should be
reflection.
the
I love
ultimate
it.
accountability partner for that person. So, say for instance, if Bree's going through something or she's arguing back at me, and I feel like she has part of the blame for the reason that wherever we're arguing about, what I'll do is I need to fix myself. And because she loves me, I'm going to trust that she's going to work on it too and try to figure out a thing to make it make sense for both of us. So she's trusting me because she knows I love her. I'm trusting her because I know she loves me. So I just challenge you guys, if you're in that type of relationship, just whatever issue you guys are going through, instead of blaming that other person or pointing the finger at that other person or arguing with them about what they should or shouldn't be doing, try to work on yourself and say, what could I do to help and make this situation better? And then trust that because they love you, that they're going to work on that too. So it's just a challenge.
And if that's not actually happening, that probably means that neither of you actually know what love is, or the relationship hasn't even gotten to a point where love is the focus, or that you guys got in a relationship for something else other than love in the first place. So it's physical, it's convenient, it's easy, you look good, whatever that reason is. So look at your reasons. If this is not happening, it's probably because that's not the relationship for you.
Yeah. So my question now I have for Bree,
What up?
and I can only ask this because I know her, but I feel like this will help a lot of people out who are dealing with this. So how do you, when it comes to the building self-esteem and building self-love and self-confidence, how do you identify or make that adjustment to where one point of your life you feel like something wasn't a problem, and then at another point it just like became a problem? So like, how do you identify what made that change? Like how to work through that? Because I know through our relationship that you had certain things that you weren't as like self-conscious about, but then when it hit a certain point, then you became more self-conscious about it. Then you had to kind of work through that.
You would say like stuff like cussing or not spending my money wisely or not like,
or even like the things that even like we said early on in our relationship or before you met me, like these things weren't things that you had, like whether it was like weight or things like that, to where there weren't issues that you really harped on before, but then like once we got in a relationship, you felt like you harped on those things a lot more and trying to identify like, all right, why was I not as worried about it or self-conscious about it before?
Oh, okay. I was confused. So basically it's a thing of like having your standards and like really challenging yourself to be the best person you could be. So before, I was worried about more like materialistic things and like the things that made me feel like I was like the catch in my other relationships or in my situation. So like if I was dating somebody, there weren't things that really bothered me. I felt very confident as a person because I felt like I was almost above them. I was like, like I have this going on and I'm pretty and I'm smart and I'm fun and I'm all these things. And so there weren't a lot of things that I felt like I had to work on. I always looked at the other person like, yeah, you need to get together. You need to work on X, Y, and Z. And it kind of made me feel good to be like, I'm not the one with all the problems. Getting in a relationship with Dre, the huge difference was the people that I was dating versus him. Two different ballparks, probably wouldn't be in the same room ever. the thing with me was I was dating these types of people because in myself I wasn't putting myself up to a standard that God says we should be. So the things that I was doing, the ways that I was thinking, and just overall who I was as a person, it wasn't up to a certain standard. So I was putting myself above other people because I was dealing with other people who didn't have any standards or accountability to God basically either. And so the types of people that they were.
I think that's a very interesting point to stop at real quick and unpack. The people that we choose to surround ourselves with, the people we choose to be in relationship with. It's quite interesting when we see people who are on this cycle of I keep attracting the same person that they say they don't want to be with. And that's quite intriguing to me. For the young lady who says I keep attracting the gentleman that doesn't treat me right, he steps out on me, he says derogatory things towards me. There might be physical um, abuse, emotional distress, non-supportive, all these different things, in and out. But for some reason, this young lady continues to attract, or I'm not even going to say the word attract, still chooses the same type of man that she says she does not want to be with, or the man that does not add value to her life. And at the same token, we have the young man who continues to select women that they say are just attracted to the lifestyle of lavishness, money, status, materialistic mindset. But they are still drawn to acquire those types of females in their lives. And they're still not happy and they wonder, why isn't this relationship working? Well, again, it's what are we choosing? What are our standards? The definition of insanity is you are doing the same thing over and over again, but you are expecting a different result. We got to take this self inventory, family, and figure out, why are we making the decisions that we are making in life? It stems from somewhere, and it's being influenced by multiple things that we just have not unpacked and figured these things out. So we gotta take that self accountability and stop saying that I don't know why these certain people are attracted to me, or I keep attracting the same type of people. No, it's the people that you're choosing. It's the people that you are intentionally selecting, or the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Is it that you want to have this superiority complex, that you want to save people, you want to feel superior to them, you want to help them out, you want to feel needed? This was the type of relationship that you were exposed to as a child, so you think that this is normal, this is normalized, and this is what a relationship is supposed to be, but it doesn't feel good, but this is what I experienced, so this has to be the relationship that I'm supposed to be in. We got to do the work and unpack these things.
Was not Jordan. When we got in a relationship, and I was like, oh wow, like he's such a nice person. He's so honest. He's so God fearing. He's doing all these things, and I see daily the work that he puts in himself to be the best him. So by nature, it makes my standards of myself go up higher because if he's bringing that to the business, if he's bringing all of that to the partnership and to the relationship, I look at myself like, well, what am I bringing? And I want to make sure that we're a team and that we we don't, say and do things differently. And so even for simple stuff like cussing is something that I'm like, that is not cute. I don't like it. The things I say when I'm randomly, in a moment of something, with the way he looks at me, like that wasn't very nice. Or like that wasn't cool. Holds me accountable and makes me want better for myself. And then it makes me look at like, this person is just so great that it makes me see all of my flaws myself, not in a way to where I feel less than or I don't feel worthy of him, but in a space where it's like I know I can do better.
Amen. That's good. That is
when
good.
you trade your standards, when you
That's
really
good.
understand what you're worthy of having and what you're capable of being as a person, then you hold yourself to a whole different level that by nature you won't even associate yourself with the same types of behaviors, things, or people
Awesome.
as you did in the past.
Good answer.
Thanks.
And I would say for a partner who is with someone who is dealing with like maybe self-esteem or self-love like struggles, just making sure that you support them, that it won't be an overnight thing with them overcoming that. And then also understand where you can help them and where they may be to seek outside help, because somebody feeling uncomfortable about their weight or their skin or their those things
Man, I
don't,
hate my eyebrows.
but a lot of those things don't about that physical trait. It's like some things that happen or that make them insecure about that particular body part or that particular. It's something deeper a lot of times that goes into that versus just the physical thing that you're talking about. So just be patient with them, and I had to learn to do that, and I'm continuing to learn how to do that. Just being patient and understanding, continue to encourage, and also celebrate the small victories. That's something that I had to learn too. That although it may not seem like a big deal to you, that if there's something that something that someone is trying to overcome, or they're trying to be better, or they're trying to gain confidence, make sure you celebrate those small like things that seem insignificant, but it's a big step for them. It's important for them.
It's like when the other day and I said, "Oh poop," or "Oh poopy," or "Oh crap," or something. Jay was like, "Look at you, good job." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "He didn't say shit."
So then you do curse.
But that was an example.
She should have said the S word. We're still working on it. But anyway, so that's just our advice on just working on the importance of yourself. Like I said, a relationship isn't two halves coming together, it's two wholes growing together. So in your relationship, you need to make sure that you work on yourself. Both sides need to continue to work on yourself, so that overall you can have a great relationship and continue to grow together in the right way.
Yes. Now, with that being said, Dre, I have one question for you.
Yes.
Will you accept this rose? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at Cipriano Mente, at It's J Smith, and at With The Way. As always, we love you. Say goodbye, Rose.
That's a beautiful couple. So again, fam, as we wrap up today's show, do the self work, do the reflections. You're two individual people growing individually while you're trying to grow together. Take those self reflections, own your peace, do the self work, accountability, responsibility. That way you can show up better in your relationships, family wise, in our society, in our communities, in our nation, and on a global metal and on a global platform. So until next time, continue to think different about relationships. Peace.